Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alexia. In today's video, I will be sharing with you guys all the books that I've read this year, but also all the books that I've read so far because this is actually my first book video ever. So I will see if you guys love it, and I'm really excited to share with you guys all the books that I loved, but also all the books that I hated. And here I have my mug of the day, this gingerbread house that I got from Indigo. And for the past couple of days, I've been drinking gingerbread coffee, and it is amazingly good. So to give you guys more details about my story with reading, I started reading when I was younger, and I used to read so much. Then I stopped for so many years, and I got back into reading, I would say 3 years ago. This is literally my favorite hobby. I love when a book makes me dream, escape, and just to be off my phone and just to be cozy with my coffee, with my fireplace, with a book in hand, with a little music in the background. This is just the best feeling ever, especially now that it's colder outside. This is the only thing that I will be doing. So I will see if you guys love it, and I'm always open to some recommendations. Let me know your favorite book in the comments. What is the book that you have read that we should all read? So obviously I made a little list on my phone. So let's start with the first one. First one is called Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I love this book so much. It was so good. The perfect summer rom-com. And when I say I was able to finish this book in less than 48 hours, it's because it was that good. The reason why I'm saying this is because I love when I'm able to binge a book and finish it really quickly. If it takes me more than a week to finish a book, it's definitely not going to be a 5-star for me because I feel like I'm not really attached to the book or the story. So I love it when I can finish a book really quick, and that was the case for this book. I loved it so much, and I also recommended this book to so many friends, and all of my friends were obsessed with this book. So it's about a girl named Emma, and she thinks that she has a curse because every time that she is in a relationship and then the relationship ends, the guy is falling in love right after with someone else and find his true love. And that's every time that she is in a relationship. And I think it was online, she saw a post of a guy explaining the same situation, that every time that he's in a relationship, the girl finds her true love right after. So he is also cursed. So obviously they started talking and everything, but the book itself was so good because it wasn't only about romance, it was also about family issues. Her mom was really toxic, so their love story was really real, and she also travels a lot because of her work, so it wasn't always that simple. But he really wanted to do everything to end up with her. And in this video, I'm not going to spoil anything, of course, because I want you guys to read these books. But yeah, I really loved this book, and I definitely need to read another book from the same author. I think I want to read Part of Your World next. Okay, then we have Archer's Voice. This book was so emotional. I cried, and if you have read or are going to read this book, you're probably gonna cry too. And I love when a book makes me cry because it really means that I'm attached to the story. So it's about a guy named Archer, and he cannot talk, and everyone in town hate him. Then there's a girl named Bree, and she just moved into a small town where Archers live. She doesn't really understand why people hate him, but she wants to get to know him more, but he doesn't really understand why she wants to know him. Since everyone hates him so much in town, he doesn't understand at all. So at first he is really cold with her. He doesn't really care. He doesn't really want to know her at first, but she wants to. But then obviously they are going to be closer and everything. But as I said, this book is so emotional because she really wanted to know him for who he was. She didn't care about other people's opinion. And yeah, this book was definitely a 5-star for me. Then we have Every Summer After, a perfect summer rom-com. This reminded me so much of the series The Summer I Turned Pretty. It was actually the same thing. So summer houses, a brother involved, they meet every summer. So I was really able to imagine the scenes in my head, and I loved the series The Summer I Turned Pretty. I can't wait for Conrad season. I rewatch this series every summer to start my summer in a good way. And I also read another book that was really similar. It's called Love and Other Words. Cannot say that I love this book because it was literally the same story as Every Summer After. Of course, a little bit different, but the same concept. Also reminded me of The Summer After and Pretty, so I wasn't truly enjoying and loving the book since I've already read Every Summer After. So if I were you, I would only read one of the two books. Next we have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is a friendship to lovers story. I love these type of stories because it reminds me of my relationship. Me and my boyfriend were friends for a whole year. We were best friends, but they go on vacation every year, and obviously the relationship is going to be developed while they're going to be on vacation, but it's going to be a little bit complicated. Something is going to happen in the book that is going to ruin their relationship, but they really do have different personalities. So someone is more introverted and the other one is more outgoing, and I love when two people with different personalities come together because they bring out the best in each other. Then the other person needs to flow into the other person's worlds. And I also love the author Emily Henry. She is so good. All of her books are so good. I also read Happy Place by her. This is also a perfect summer rom-com. This is about second chances. Honestly, I'm not the best fan of second chances. I don't know why. It's not my favorite. I don't hate it, but it's just not my favorite. So this is about a girl named Harriet and the guy is named Win. They go on a group vacations with some friends every year. So when she arrives at that vacation, they are exes, and she didn't know that he was going to be there because their friends didn't know that they weren't with each other anymore. So during the whole vacation, they were pretending that they were still together, but obviously when their friends weren't around anymore, they were acting like exes again. So in the book, they're going to do a lot of past references to really understand why they aren't together anymore. And as I said, Emily Henry is such a good author. Okay, then we have another book. It's not a romance, but it's called The Housemaid. This book was amazingly good. It was a little bit predictable, I would say, but it was still good. It's about a girl who just got out of prison and she's trying to find some work, but obviously nobody wants her because she just got out of prison. But then she passed an interview with someone who needed a housemaid in a big house, so she really couldn't refuse, and a lot of things are going to happen in this house. She can't really escape because she needs work, she needs money, so she's kind of like trapped there and she can't really go anywhere. I finished this book so quickly. I know that there's a second one. I think it's called The Secret of the Housemaid. I even think there's a third one. My mom also loves to read and she read the second book and she said that it was even better, so I'm really excited to read it. But she reads in Spanish and I love to read in English, so I definitely need to read the second one now. Another book that I've read that I think was one of the most popular book ever is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This book was amazingly good and also different. It reminded me so much of the life of Marilyn Monroe. If you guys haven't seen her series or her movies, they are incredibly good because you can see all the secrets in the Hollywood world. So I thought that this story was also really similar. In this book, she explains the truth with her relationship, what truly happened, the secrets, the lies, and why was she in a relationship with those men. And I feel like it's so interesting to see the reality of those type of stuff. So I thought that this book was really good for that. And she actually explains her whole life to a journalist, and she explains to the journalist that she wants her story to be public whenever she is going to pass. But yeah, as I said, I think it was one of the most popular books. I don't remember when it was, but everyone was just obsessed with this book, so I felt like I really needed to read it, and I understand why. It was a little bit different from the story that I usually read, but it was nice and interesting, so you should definitely read it if you haven't yet. Okay, next we are going to talk about the books that got me back into reading 3 years ago, and these are Colleen Hoover's books. Obviously, I started with the one and only It Ends With Us. This was also, I think, one of the most popular books during COVID. It was insanely popular on TikTok, everywhere. I think everyone I know read this book, and we're not gonna lie, this book was so good. I also read the second book, It Starts With Us, and I also saw the movie. Of course, the movie is not as good as the book, but it was still good because I was so nostalgic when I saw the movie, because I remembered the first time reading this book. I don't feel like I need to explain the whole story because I feel like everyone have read this book, but to keep it short, it's about a girl who just moved out to Boston and she met a guy named Raul, and he was the perfect sexy man. He was a surgeon and she just fell in love with him so quickly. Then she realized that he was not really the guy she thought. And when she was younger, she had a friend named Atlas. Atlas was actually homeless. They started to be friends because she was helping him, so she would give him clothes, food. But then one day he needed to move to Boston with his uncle because he didn't have a choice, so they weren't friends anymore. But then she moved out to Boston to open her own flower shop, and then everything happens. But yeah, I really love this book so much because it got me back into reading so quickly, and because of this book I was able to read so many books right after. Then I read Ugly Love. It was spicy and good, and this is an enemy to lovers type of book. These are my favorite books ever because it's really spicy and everything. I just love these type of stories. I love when the guy is finally obsessed with a girl and he just can't live without her. I think these are the perfect stories. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I also read November 9th. It was actually a situation where the two were meeting every November 9th of every year to just catch up because their lives were really different, so they weren't really able to be together, I would say. So yeah, it was a nice and cute type of story. Then we also have Hard Bones. This was, I think, one of my favorite book of hers. The girl was living with her mom and her mom was a drug addict. This is not a spoiler, but she passed away, so then she needed to go live with her dad. Then there's a guy who lived next to her dad's and they had friends in common, so they met each other. And the guy also had a difficult childhood, I would say, so they kind of have the same traumas, so they were able to align really quickly. They became friends and then they realized that maybe they're a little bit more than friends. But yeah, this book was really emotional. There's also a big plot twist in this book at the end. I also read Never Never. This was one of the worst book ever. I hated this book so much. It was so repetitive. The girl was losing her memory, then she needed to remember everything that have happened, then she lose her memory again, then she needs to remember everything again, then she lose her memory again, and it was that during the whole book. So I felt like this book was so boring and repetitive. I just really didn't like this book. Another book that I loved from the same author is Too Late. It's about a girl named Sloane and she is in a relationship with a drug dealer, and she's kind of trapped in this relationship because her brother is sick, so she needs his money. And then she met a guy in school named Carter, and in the house that they lived in, so Sloane and Asa is the drug dealer, it is actually a trap house. There's always a lot of people, and then one day Carter shows up and she's like, what the hell he is doing here? But he was actually a detective, so he was hired to know more information about Asa and about this house, about this whole situation. Obviously she wants to know Carter more and everything because she's not really in love with Asa. He is so toxic, manipulative, violent. He is definitely not a good guy for her, so she wants to know Carter more, but it is really complicated and also really dangerous. So I was so anxious during the entire book, but that is why it was good. But I've also read the Bridgerton series. Obviously I watched every season on Netflix. I think I've read the 4 first books, so Daphne, Anthony, Colin, and Benedict. I can't wait for the new season because Benedict's story was amazingly good. I think it was one of the best book of the Bridgerton series. I haven't read the next ones because I just want to wait. I also read Everything I Know About Love. This is kind of a biography, but it's a nice and fun biography because she explains her relationships with men, but also her friendships. What did she learn during her 20s? And her writing is so raw and it's fun. I laughed so much when I read this book, and it was so fun to see how she was seeing relationships, discovering herself, a lot of self-growth lessons. And in the book she is so real with everything that have happened in her relationship. So for example, emotional abuses and the processes and everything. And as I said, this book was really funny. If you want to laugh but also learn, you should definitely read this book. Next, we have a book that was actually really popular, and I think a lot of people love this book, but I hated this book so much. I literally cannot remember anything about this book, and it is Normal People by Sally Rooney. This book was so boring. I wasn't able to finish it, honestly. I think it was about two people who were in high school, and one person was really popular. The other one was more shy, I would say, and they can't really be together for some reasons. I don't know. Can't understand why people are so obsessed with this book. Maybe I need to reread this book. Let me know if I'm right, if I'm wrong, if I should read this book again. What do you guys think about this book? Because yeah, I really can't understand the hype for this book. I also read It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I love this author. She is so cute in her writing, and her stories are also really easy to read. I love when it's really easy to read a book. This is about an influencer. She was all over social media, but then she was forced to move to a small town who nobody really cared about social media. So she met a guy who didn't care about social media at all, and he made an Instagram just for her, just to see her pictures, just to see her life. So you can tell that he was obsessed with her, and obviously they're going to fall in love and everything, but this was so cute and nice to read. So yeah, definitely need to read other books from this author. I also read another book called Inheritance Games. I haven't read the whole series, only the first book. I want to read the next ones, of course, but it's about an old guy who passed away, and he gave all of his money, and when I say money, I say billions of dollars, to a random girl. So the girl doesn't really understand why. So whenever it comes to go to his house with the whole family is looking at her like, who the hell are you? Why are you going to receive the money and everything? And it's not going to be that easy to have the money, because the old man gave her challenges before getting the money and everything, and she needs to live in the house for a whole year, living with the family. And there's, I think, 4 or 5, I think it's 4 brothers involved. So there's also a lot of romance, but also a lot of lies. So she needs to trust the right people. But yeah, I definitely need to read the whole series because it was actually a really good book. So thank you so much for watching. Comment down below some books recommendations, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and give this video a little thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one.